subtraction algorithms. So these are the ones where we're adding numbers in columns, and we often have some carrying and borrowing to do. So let's get started. I'm going to get started with problem number 1, and we are being asked to add 367 to 158. Now, when you do problems like this and you're setting them up as an algorithm, it's very, very important that you're lining up your digits correctly. So that means that my units are all under each other, my tens are under each other, and my hundreds. Because clearly, if you had 367 and you somehow accidentally wrote it, your next number as 158, you would get the wrong answer. So it's important to always make sure you've lined them up correctly in terms of their place value. So if you need a quick refresher on place value, and I'll probably make a video about this at some stage, but just as a quick reminder, and I'm just going to start with units, or they sometimes called ones, and then we have tens, hundreds, thousands, and it keeps going. So basically, as we're moving this way, our numbers are getting bigger. So if I'm going to place 367 in my place value chart, it's going to be the 300 goes in the hundreds column, the 6 is representing my tens, and the 7 is my units or ones, and 158, 8 units, 5 tens, and 100. So when I say line them up correctly, I mean that in your algorithm, the units have to be under each other, the tens have to be under each other, and the hundreds have to be under each other. Okay, so let's get that out. And now we start to add. We go vertically, and we start with our units. So 7 plus 8 is 15. So because this is the units column, and 15 has a units and a tens, all we're going to do is write the units, which is 5, and that 10 we're going to carry into our tens column. So I might even just put the columns here for you to see that this is our units, this is our tens column, and this is our hundreds column. So because 7 and 8 is 15, we just put the unit of 15 in our units column, and the tens we carry, which just means we transfer it over to the tens column. Okay, so now we want to add everything in our tens column. So we've got 6 and 5, which is 11, plus the 1 that we carried from there. So that makes 12. So again, 12. This means 12 tens, because we're now in our tens column. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, so in our tens column, we've got 12 tens. And I might just even write that here. We've got 12 tens. That's what that means. So we can only have one digit. So we're going to put is this means I've got 10 tens, which means 10 times 10, which is 100. That's what that actually means. When you have 9 plus 1, you have 10 in your tens column. It actually means you've got 10 tens, which is 100. So, the way we do it is, we say 9 plus 1 is 10, so we put the 0 and we carry 1. Okay, that 1 is the 100. So then, in a hundreds column we have 4 plus 3, which is 7, plus 1, which is 8. And that's your answer. Okay. Example number 3. Okay, so here we've got 1,749 plus 285. So you can see why it's very important that we do line them up correctly. So these are my units, these are my tens, these are my hundreds, and my thousands. So it's almost like I can put an imaginary line tens are all under each other, hundreds, thousands, and so on, so that you're adding the correct columns. So that's the first thing that's important. The second thing that's important when you're doing addition algorithms is to remember to carry, what we call carry. I'm going to put that in inverted commas. And the whole concept behind carrying is that, again, it relates to your place value. So don't forget, when you're carrying, don't forget to add that with the other digits. And sometimes what I do, and I'm just going to show you using the last example where we had 598 plus 674. What I actually do when I solve these to make sure that I don't forget anything is I actually cross them out. So I say 8. I go like this: 8 plus 4 is 12. 2, carry 1. Okay, so then I go 1 plus 9, that's 10. Plus 7, 17. So 7, carry 1. And then I go 5 plus 6 is 11. Plus 1 is 12. So that way I make sure that I'm definitely adding everything, and it might not be such a big deal when you're only adding 2 numbers, but when you have a list of numbers, and you might have like 10 numbers in your algorithm, then it becomes important to make sure that you've added and included every digit in that column. Okay. There we go. So that is the addition algorithm. Hopefully that was fairly straightforward, but do let me know if you want me to make more videos with it, or if you have specific questions about the addition algorithm. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my subtraction algorithms, and we're going to start off with a simple one. So we've got 741 minus 321. I should really move these a bit closer. Much better. Okay, so with this one we are subtracting. So we start with our units column. In fact, I'm going to add that in just as a reminder. This is our units column, this is our tens column, and this is our hundreds column. Okay, so 1 minus 1 is 0. 4 minus 2 is 2. And in our hundreds column, we've got 7 minus 3, which is 4. So again, as a reminder, what this is saying is, here it is telling you that you've just got 1 unit minus 1 unit is 0. Here it's, we say 4 minus 2, but what it's actually saying is 4 tens, which is 40, minus 2 tens, which is 20. And so the answer is 2 tens, which is 20. So again, just to show you, and I hope this doesn't confuse you, but if I were to move that aside, what this is actually saying is, let's do it in another color, it's actually saying 40 minus 20. That's what this means, because you got 4 tens and 2 tens, which is 40 minus 20. And 40 minus 20 is 20. That's what that is. It's 2 tens. So I'm going to put it back where it belongs. Okay. So that's what that means. 4 tens minus 2 tens is 2 652 minus 478. Okay, so now we, in our units, you know what, let's add in our little column reminders, units, tens, hundreds. Okay, so in our units column, we've essentially got 2 minus 8, and so we say we can't do that. In an algorithm, you can't do that, and so what you're then going to do is you're going to borrow 1 from the neighbour, which is 5 tens. So if we borrow 1, and I'm actually just going to move this whole thing down a bit so I have a bit more room. If we're going to borrow 1, then instead of 5, it's going to become 4. And the 1 that we've borrowed is going to move here. So you can see you've still got 5, but you've just split it up. So now we've got 12 minus 8, which is 4. And that's how we've solved our units column. Now we're moving to our tens column. Now let's have a look. We've got 4 minus 7. So again, we need to borrow because we can't say 4 minus 7. So we're going to borrow from here, from the neighbour. And the neighbour has got 6. So if I borrow 1, then instead of 6, there will be 5. Now the 1 that I'm borrowing is going to come on here, and instead of 4, it's going to become 14. So 14 minus 7 is 7. And then 5 minus 4 is 1. So the answer for this one is 174. Okay. Let's do another example with borrowing 830 minus 265. So I'm going to put in my column reminders. There I've got units, tens, hundreds. Okay. So in my units column, I've got 0 minus 5, and I can't do that, so I need to borrow from the neighbour. So this one is 3, and if I borrow 1, it's going to become 2. And then there's the one that I've borrowed. So now I've got 10. This now becomes 10 minus 5, which is 5. Now I'm moving into my tens column, and in my tens column I've got 2 minus 6, and I can't do that, so I need to borrow. So in my hundreds column I've got an 8. If I borrow 1, it's going to become a 7, and the one that I've borrowed is joining this one, so it becomes 12. So now I've got 12 minus 6, which is 6. And then here I've got 7 minus 2, which is 5. So the answer is 565. Okay. Example number, I think we're on example number 9. So we've got 904 minus 578. So I'm going to put in my little place value columns, units, tens, and hundreds. Okay. So 4 minus 8 in my units column, I'm going to have to borrow. So I want to go to the next column here, does not have 1 for me to borrow. So then you go to the next column. So you just keep on going. So I can't borrow from the 0. So I have to go to the next column, to my hundreds column, and then I've got a 9. So I can borrow from the 9. So if I borrow 1 from the 9, that becomes 8, and there's the one that I've borrowed, right? But I need 1 here, so now I go back to this and I say, okay, now it's a 10. I can borrow 1, and then the 10 becomes a 9. So this does become a bit cluttered. I should have probably written it a bit bigger, but let me maybe do this one in a different color. Okay, so then 14 minus 8 is 6, 9 minus 7 is 2, and 8 minus 5 is 3. So I'm gonna go over that bit, that bit again, just to show you how I did it. 904 minus 578. So I needed to borrow 1 because I can't say 4 minus 8. I go next door, but there isn't 1 that I can borrow. So I go to the next one. I can borrow 1 from here. So if I borrow 1 from here, there's the one I've borrowed, and that becomes 8. And now I can go here and say, hey, can I borrow 1? Now it's a 10, so the 10 becomes a 9, and then I can borrow. So you've basically gone 2 columns across to borrow 1 and borrow 1, and now you're set up. Hopefully that's made a bit of sense. Actually, I'm just going to clear the page. Alright, so I think we are on example number 10. So we've got 710 minus 489, and let's put these in units, tens, hundreds. Okay, so I can't say 0 minus 9, so I need to borrow. I go across. There is a 1 there, so I can borrow it. So this becomes a 0, and there's the 1 that I've borrowed. So 10 minus 9 is 1. Now I've got 0 minus 8. I can't do that, so I need to go next door and borrow 1. Because next door is a 7. I can borrow, so that becomes a 6. And there's the 1 that I've borrowed. So now this is a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. And 6 minus 4 is 2. So the answer is 221. And I believe the next one is the last example we've got. And this one has 4002 minus 1789. So that's my units, my tens, my hundreds, and my thousands. Okay. So in my units column, I've got 2 minus 9. I can't do that, so I want to borrow. I go to the neighbour, but there isn't 1 for me to borrow. So I go to the next one. There still isn't 1 for me to borrow. So I go to the next one. And here I can borrow. So because it's a 4, I borrow 1, becomes a 3, and this becomes 10. So then I borrow 1 from here. That becomes 9, and that's a 10. And then I borrow 1 from here. That becomes 9, and that becomes becomes 12. And now I can go ahead and do it. 12 minus 9 is 3. 9 minus 8 is 1. 9 minus 7 is 2. And 3 minus 1 is 2. And so the answer is